Hello everybody, and I want to welcome everyone to this sake episode of the Booze Geek. My name is Charles, and I am your host. And before I get started, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. And if you like the episode, hit that like button too. Give us a big thumbs up, and I'm going to thank you all in advance. But on this sake episode, we are tasting and reviewing a sake from the Umenoyado Brewery, and they are located in the Nara Prefecture of Japan. So I'm grabbing the bottle. So from Umenoyado, this is their crazy milk. The crazy milk. So before I jump in, this sake is a little different. So this sake is a Nigori style sake. So Nigori translates to cloudy in English. Now, Nigori style sakes are unfiltered sakes. So it is very common to find some rice sediment or some rice lees floating in the sake. That's number one. Now, number two, on a previous sake episode of the Booze Geek, I mentioned that there are generally three different tiers of sake. You have your Junmai grade sakes, then your Junmai Ginjo grade sakes, and then the top tier, your Junmai Daiginjo grade sakes. Now, the grading of the sakes has to do with how much the rice is polished before they brew the sake. Now, since Nigori sakes are unfiltered sakes, for the most part, there is generally very little to no polishing with the rice because the breweries want to retain the rustic qualities of the rice. Now, with that being said, I'm not saying there are no Junmai grade Nigori sakes on the market or even Junmai Daiginjo grade Nigori sakes on the market. As a matter of fact, this one is a Junmai grade Nigori sake. So, like I said, Nigoris are kind of in the, they're kind of an offshoot of these three tiers over here. But with all that, so this crazy milk, it's getting a little crazy in here. This crazy milk, once again, is a Junmai grade Nigori sake, an unfiltered sake. And this sake clocks in at 15.5% ABV, which I personally think is a little high. But with all that, I'm being quiet now, and we're getting this review started. So let me grab the glass, and let's get a little pour. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Now, right off the bat, we are going to notice the color of the sake. Look at that. It's not milk. I promise this is definitely sake. We have an unfiltered sake. Now, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but I'm going to tilt this, and you can actually see, at least from my perspective, there is some sediment and some rice lees on the sides of the glass. It's not a dirty glass. I promise it's a clean glass. But you can just see how, it's unfiltered. You're getting some of the sediment there. Now, with that, let me give this a swirl. And let's get the nose going. And let's see what we have aroma-wise. So nose number one on this Nigori. Here we go. Well, first and foremost, we have that cooked rice is coming through. And we also have... there's a little bit of earthiness coming through. Some slight saline, and let's see, one more. There are some fruity esters coming off this as well. Now, let's swirl away, and we are going to give this Nigori a sip. Now, when it comes to Nigori sakes, generally you do want to serve Nigori sakes slightly chilled. Not cold, just slightly chilled. So, this one is slightly chilled. I already did that, took care of that. But let's give this one more swirl, and let's give it sip number one. Here we go. Whew, that's a lot of work. KANPAI! Well, first and foremost, this is a full-bodied sake. You can feel that sediment floating around your mouth on your tongue. You can feel those rice lees floating around on your tongue. Now, also that is one reason why Nigori sakes turn people off, because it is a different consistency. It takes some getting used to. It's a little different than what you'd be used to. So that's number one. But what do we have flavor-wise? One more quick sip here. Okay, so it's a little bit tart, number one. And we are also getting some of that starchy rices coming through. We are also getting a little bit of that earthiness. And some slight saline, but there's also a sweetness coming through as well on this. So there's a lot going on. You're almost getting an umami kind of esque qualities coming through this sake. A lot going on. Now, there's also, I'm going to say, and it's definitely rounded out, at 15.5% ABV, there's a booziness coming through. There definitely is. So that's kind of rounding this out. Now, what would I give this on the meter? Because this is different than normal sakes. It's a little unique. However, I don't think the balance is really refined on this one. I mean, you have the sweet and a little bit of that saline quality. You have the tartness coming off. Now, it's not sour. It's definitely tart. So you have all this going on, and there's a lot to kind of process. On the meter, after I give this one more quick sip, I'm going to give this sake a 6.5. And I know I said it's just, there is a lot going on. It's hard to really get these correct, but it's in a good direction. But I do think that 15.5% ABV is too much. I really wish that should be brought down to about 14%. Because on top of everything else, you throw that booziness in the mix with the tartness, the saline, the sweet, and I think it's just too much. But I am going to stick with my number on that. However, even with that being said, I do recommend everyone go out, grab a bottle, and give it their opinion, and just experience what a Nigori sake is like, because it is, it's a different experience. And pair it with some seafood, or maybe some dessert. But either with that, I'm going to let this one go. I'm going to wrap this up. I want to thank everyone for tuning into this sake episode. And as always, you can follow me at the websites, which are www.pubsapapinton.com, or the blog, which is www.pubsapapinton.blogspot.com. And with that, I'm wrapping this up, baby. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Cheers, KANPAI, PROST, and enjoy!